Hey, it's Mike from the Paranormal Road Trippers, and we're here at the Irving House. Perfect location to do a paranormal-based interview with Haunted History BC. You ready to do this?
Yes, we sure are.
Rock and roll. Who is the Haunted History of BC?
Well, hello there. This is Haunted History BC, and I am Gina Armstrong.
And I'm Victoria Gatchek.
Straight off the bat, tell me about Onyx the Crow.
Onyx the Crow. Hey, do you want to take this one?
I've read their
Yes.
website.
I actually discovered Onyx. She comes to my porch every day. I don't know, she was always coming in around that time, and I just started, I shouldn't have been feeding her, but I did feed her. And she got a little bit more friendly, and ever since then, she just used to come around to our place, and I would always just, see her, watch her, and take pictures of her. So, and I talked to Gina about that, and we just kind of started throwing out ideas about what maybe our mascot would look like. And I said, hey, well, maybe a crow.
Yes, and we thought we should use her, and we just happened to have a good photo, and she became our famous logo.
How long have you been doing Haunted History for?
Oh boy, well, what did we start? We started in May. We launched our website in May, of last year. So May 2020, and all started with a little project, and we thought we'd want a little bit more exposure, so we thought, let's launch a website. Victoria has all the savvy to do all the website design and everything and the layout, so she was the one who got that going, and then we both do photography, and I do most of the writing, so.
And actually, our interest was more before that time, before
Yes.
2019, before 2020. We were actually going to a lot of sites, and we were visiting places, and our interest always with the paranormal.
Oh yeah, that's when we went more public and got into social media and everything, so that's where everybody kind of got to know who we were.
What got you into the paranormal?
Oh, let's see. Started, I think, when we were kids, like most people. So we were very fascinated with ghosts. Then we took took a ghost walk in 2017 that re-sparked it and everything. And then one experience at the Pendrie Inn, and we were hooked.
Exactly. And then the walk that we did in Victoria, that was actually quite an interesting area too, and we loved it. We loved it. We figured we got to continue on with this, visit other sites, visit other locations, and do some local research a little bit. And hey, we're always open to the paranormal, so when people have stories to tell us, we often like to actually listen to the things that people tell us. So, and we like to record it as well.
What do you consider your style of paranormal research?
I think, for me personally, I go in mostly with a historic approach first. So we do research a place before we go. So we find out about the history, what the land is, who lived there, who died there, if anybody. And then we go in. And we go in at this point with fairly minimal equipment. We're getting into our ghost equipment. But yeah, we start off with the historic route. And then we go in and respectfully sort of, check out a place. But not really demanding anything from if there's spirits around. Just sort of seeing what happens while we're there.
And we also like to do the journalistic approach as well too. Oftentimes we like to research the location before going out there, getting a little bit more of a background on it, and we take it from there, and then we visit. And we don't do like a lot of equipment like Gina said, so we just try to use our senses.
Mm-hmm.
I read on your website you guys not only into hauntings, but you're also interested in folklore.
Yes.
BC has a vast variety of folklore and legends. In your guys' opinion, what sticks out the most to you?
I think I like the Dead Man's Island legend, because that was one that I really, when I heard it, I thought, that's got history all the way back to Indigenous times when they were, different groups were fighting over that particular piece of land, and there's a lot of history there from that. Then it became a prison. There's people, work camps there. So there's just a lot of layers of history, and there's a lot of hauntings. People say they hear screaming, they see weird lights, and so that's been kind of a very local one that's truly fascinating. And I wouldn't mind if there's a way to get to Dead Man's Island one day to go actually check it out. But that's a good one.
I am personally a huge supporter of preserving history and forgotten history. That's a big deal to me. And I make a point of visiting and getting the stories, not only from Google and city websites, but from locals. I love talking to locals, and I love obtaining off the record or off the book stories, word of mouth stories, because a lot of those stories do have meaning and they did come from somewhere. So being a paranormal researcher, I like to really listen and then use that type of information to conduct a lot of investigations. I've been reading your guys' website, I've been reading online, I've been creeping your Instagram and all that sort of stuff. And you guys are really big into preserving our local historic buildings, cemeteries, and all of that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
I think that desire just comes from the fact that we've encountered a lot of, just by chance, photos that we took even before we were into this paranormal side of things. But when we visited locations, we found that, we'd go back to them and all of a sudden they're not there anymore. So I think that kind of prompts us to actually want to preserve certain things, because a lot of times we're realizing now the pictures that we took or the pictures that we take and the articles that we write or the people that we are in contact with won't be around forever. So I think to record that is really, really important, and just to be able to pass it on to generations. That's one of the things we have as a mission statement on our website, is to preserve it for future generations. So hopefully, as part of the fun of the folklore and the legends and the ghostly investigation, we can leave behind the factual historical part as well. So
Exactly, because we have run into some situations too where the buildings are no longer in existence, so they've been taken down. So it's nice to see that we have that recorded, and we can look back on it and we have it actually documented.
This is actually kind of a perfect timing for you guys to have this interview, because you guys are the recipients of the Historic Hero Award. How did you obtain that? And what is it?
Well, it was the History Hero Award awarded by the City of Maple Ridge, the Maple Ridge Heritage Commission. And so we did a lot of work during the pandemic. Actually, we realized that people couldn't go out and travel, couldn't go see places, museums were having a hard time. So through our social media, we made sure that we had, we did all kinds of online things like photos, write-ups, things on our websites. And then we helped museums as well. We donated a lot of our projects, like our calendars and mugs and things, so that they could do online events. And we could still be a part of things in our community, but just in a different way. And I think it just still brought attention to the heritage locations and just helped them have a good time. So somebody in the community did nominate us because of all our work last year. So we're extremely honored and very excited at the end of 2020 to end our year that way. So very nice.
I think that's really cool that you guys do that, and you guys really push the historic heritage stuff in our community, because I think that's important. There needs to be more of that. I'm hoping talking about that plants that little seed in people's heads to want to help preserve. How can you get people to help maintain our history and not forget about it?
Probably the best route is education, getting the information out there. Getting people involved. Oftentimes people think that just the field in general, being a historian, is a little bit boring. Well, you know what? It really isn't. We've come across a lot of locations. We've actually uncovered a lot of interesting things that we typically wouldn't even think we would come across. So, yeah. And it's a lot of fun. And Gina too. Like when we went to the Irving House,
That was
really incredible.
Irving House was extremely memorable because in researching, Captain Irving and the house in New Westminster, which is the oldest house in BC, but we delved into descendants, and we found that his granddaughter, Mary Aline Cox, actually lived in the house for quite a while, and she was a writer, and so we delved into that, got a copy of her book, and from a secondhand bookshop, and when it arrived in the mail, there was a little piece, a letter typed by her, signed by her to her publisher, and that we were so excited to find that. It was like, we kind of nerded out of this document, but we were actually able to donate that to the New Westminster Archives. So it is a piece that we're adding to. I guess you're always filling in pieces of the puzzle when you're doing this. So it's not only that you're educating people, but you're hopefully finding things that were not there before, and you can fill in the blanks for the people who are not here anymore to tell their stories. So they hopefully want to continue telling their stories.
Exactly, and I think it's a lot easier now too to do that because we've got a lot of social media out there.
Yes.
And you can do that through your website, through social media, and get your information out there. Connect with groups too that have similar thinking, and those who maybe aren't even who don't even think they might be interested in history, you might be enticing them. You might just have to, get your message out there.
Well, people have messaged and said, "Oh, I've never known of this place, so I need to go check it out." So even just the little bit that we put out there, it gets people to a cemetery or they go to a location that maybe they never thought that they would want to go to, but they think it's really cool afterwards. So yeah, that would be all part of it.
I want a separate story from each of you. What's a story that sticks out in your head of a paranormal encounter?
Well, that one was the most recent one for me when Gina and I ended up, I think, in Maple Ridge. We were going to Maple Ridge. We were just looking to see if we could come to the Pendrie House. And we realized that the Pendrie House due to COVID has been closed down for that time. But we went out to Maple Ridge Museum. And we went and took a tour out there. And we just looked at a lot of the displays. And this was just last year. And it was around October. And it was really interesting. I came across a display where there was the Billy Miner photograph. And as I was trying to take a photo of the display and the picture of Billy Miner, my phone just started acting up. I could not take any photos. It started to pixelate. And just prior to that, we talked to the curator. And we asked her if by any chance there would have been any activity, if they had any paranormal investigators that visited the location. And she said, well, no, they're not really sure. There might be nothing here. And but we figured we captured something. It was exciting because Gina as well, she grabbed her video and
I was able to get a little bit of footage. So yeah,
exactly. So it was interesting. That actually creeped me out a little bit.
Mine, I'm going to go back to Victoria because the Pendrie Inn was something that was quite active for us. So at that time, we weren't really ghost hunting. We had gone on the ghost walk and we were staying there, but when we were exploring, we did hear a voice that was like the first creepiest thing that we heard. It said, "I can see you." And so we were in a dining room, and so we kind of freaked out there a little bit. I mean, we stuck around. And then we went out into the lobby and we thought, oh, let's do what they do kind of on TV. We'll just ask the questions and do the knocks. And sure enough, as we sat there, and I'm glad we were all three there, because if you told the story that you heard knocking for yes and no, that, to the questions, nobody would probably, that kind of stuff's hard to believe, but that actually did happen. And then we continued to have things like a thing went flying by. I thought it was a bug or something. So I kind of flailed a bit, and we found that there was like a cork that flew through one of the tea rooms, and we thought, well, nobody else is here. So it just had a lot of activity when we weren't expecting activity. We were thinking that it was kind of fun to poke around, but that got us actually to the next step of going, okay, I guess maybe, we kind of want to continue on. And that really sparked our interest. That was an unnerving one a little bit. So.
And then Truthui as well.
Yes.
That was the other one too.
Which one?
The Truthui House. And that one was interesting. That was out in Abbotsford. And that was when we were taking photographs inside the museum. We actually received, I would say, like a private tour of that place as well. So, and when Gina took some photographs, we later started reviewing pictures.
And there is a face.
There is a face in there too. So
those are memorable. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. What is your guys' goal in the paranormal field?
Oh, let's think about that one. The goal is, I think, to visit locations, to see what's out there, because there is a curiosity in what happens after you die. It seems more and more people are very intrigued by that. So it's interesting to see what is left behind and to see, we don't really have much of a scientific approach, but there is things to like stone tape theory and ley lines and, just the history of a land. I think we want to uncover more of the story, like in the case of Irving House. A lot of times you have to go on your gut instinct, and we want to kind of fill in the blanks of history. And I think sometimes the paranormal can kind of go hand in hand with that, because if you're able to make contact with somebody or discover something that you didn't know about, it can just help add to the story. So we hopefully want to keep telling the stories of people who are no longer here. So we are here and we're their voices. So I guess that's our main goal.
What's next for Haunted History?
Oh, projects. We're in the midst of writing a book. So we do have a book. It is called Evenings and Avenues, Hauntings in the Outskirts. And we will be doing a lot of the local stuff, but the more lesser known local stuff. So we're doing the legends and the folklore, and also looking into your specialty, which is
Well, I actually, by trade, I did study botany. So, and my interest is in heritage gardens and heritage trees and plants. So, I would like to get a little bit more information on the locations we already did visit. I would like to actually go back again and do a little bit more investigation and research into the plant life that's maybe around the locations that we've been. And yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, because a lot of it has local significance. They did plant trees like in cemeteries for a reason, and there's like, you know, folklore associated with certain trees or, you know, spirits and why, and then, you know, for example, like Riverview Cemetery, Riverview Grounds, you know, that's truly fascinating. They have a lot of historic vegetation out there that we'd like to look into.
And I think that sparked my interest too ever since we've been doing this Heritage Week, because Heritage Week this year for BC is from February 15th to the 21st, and I've been following a lot of stuff on social media, and we've been posting a lot of messages as well to encourage people to get involved locally and do it safely, of course, but you know, to visit your sites. You don't have to go too far to learn a little bit about your community.
Where can people find you?
They can find us on Instagram. We are at Haunted History, like Haunted_History_BC, or on Twitter, we're at Haunted History 2, and we are on our website, hauntedhistorybc.com, so you can find all of our stuff there. We do a lot of write-ups, so you can read about a lot of the locations where we've gone. Our photography is one of the main things, how we capture history as well, so we get a lot of interest in our photos, so go there and check out our photo galleries and things like that. So,
last question. Is there anything you'd like to tell people who will be watching this, or may be watching this?
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that, you know, when anybody's watching this, I obviously believe that they are watching this because they have an interest in the paranormal, but hopefully they have an interest in the historic side as well. And just the one thing is when, you know, when you go in and when you listen to other paranormal groups, or we listen to other paranormal groups, we like to keep an open mind. So wherever we go, we don't expect anything. If something happens, great. But if not, we still always call it a success because we were able to document something. We were able to document it through our eyes. And it's always a unique perspective. So even if people have visited the same locations, doesn't deter us from going because we're going to report on it in a much different way and still a good time, and it's just something that we hope that people appreciate. So thanks for everybody who goes on the website or our social media.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.